Recently, Dying Light 1 has turned 10 years old, so I wanted to make a video just briefly talking about a game that I really enjoyed. And before we get into it though, I wanted to thank all of you guys. I was said in my last video that I had just hit 500 subscribers, and I'm already about to hit 600, so I wanted to thank each and every one of you for subscribing, and I hope you enjoy my future content. And yeah, at first I thought most of it was coming from my shorts that I've been uploading, then I checked like the thing that tells you about it, and apparently they've been coming from my videos, which is really surprising to me. And yeah, thank you guys so much for subscribing. I really do appreciate it. Like, this means a lot to me personally, and I'm glad that you could do that for me. But let's get into what you're really here for. Dying Light was one of the first single player games that I bought myself, and I have nothing but fond memories of it. I played it with two different people, and they've also enjoyed the game just as much as I have. The thing I appreciate the most about Dying Light is that it's unique. The game blends the fun and satisfying parkour from Mirror's Edge with the foundation established with Techland's previous zombie game, Dead Island. The idea is at the core of Dying Light, and it makes for some extremely satisfying gameplay. This kind of game was a breath of fresh air for fans of the genre, leading it to being a huge success. From the first CGI trailer, there was intrigue from the parkour elements being in a zombie game. Running around the world, you can see how much effort was put into making this a fun, unique, and well-designed game. The graphics still hold up 10 years later, and in my opinion look better than some games that have come out in the last few years. It's also nice to know that they plan on releasing a PS5 visual and performance upgrade for this game, and, you know, I have no doubt that it'll look amazing. The game takes place in the gritty city of Haran. Haran is full of spectacle and detail with great environments everywhere you go. It really sells the fact that the city has gone downhill, with different homes having a roof that collapses on impacts. Impact, Jesus Christ. The details like how so many buildings are unfinished or show signs that the residents have come to their own ways to be secure also adds to the tragic nature of the game's narrative. You can see the plans they had to redevelop certain parts of the city before the outbreak, which really immerses you into the world as you're exploring and hopping around. Running around the city feels great, the controls are responsive and satisfying. You can honestly just free run for a long time and not get bored. That's actually what I did before I started coming up with the idea for this video. The combat is simple, but it works for the game and adds to the fun factor. The gore is satisfying and honestly shows a future sight for Dead Island 2, which it's not made by the same people for that one, I believe, but you can clearly tell that the Dead Island elements had definitely come over to Dying Light with the different gore and the melee weapons and everything. It has a big melee focus, and just like Dead Island, the worst part of the combat is using the guns, so I would honestly recommend mainly using melee weapons. In the footage you're seeing in the background, I didn't use my overpowered melee weapon that I have, instead I used a regular axe. But you can have different weapons with different types to it, I guess. My most powerful weapon is this fucking cleaver or whatever that shocks enemies and burns them on impact, and I don't even remember how I got it, but I remember I had it since my first playthrough, and ever since then it was my go-to weapon. But honestly, sometimes I prefer just switching to these lower tier weapons just so I can have a fun combat experience where I can see the gore and all of its beauty. The blood, there's so much blood, and I know I sound kind of like a psychopath while talking about it, but to all my fellow fans that are satisfied by the violence in Doom or Dead Island 2, or impressed by it, you won't be disappointed with Dying Light 1. It's not as good as Dead Island 2, obviously, because they're years apart, but it will leave you satisfied from a combat perspective. In regards to the horror, the game isn't very scary for the most part. During the day, you can gather some supplies, do some missions, and have a relatively calm experience traversing the city. But at night is when the fear really comes in. The zombies are stronger, faster, there's a lot more of them. It creates a good decision-making process. Do you leave at night to get better rewards and more skill points, or do you only go out during the day to avoid the possibility of death? Personally, I went out a lot at night for the thrills. It's just so much fun being chased by literally everything. You desperately jump between everything you can to survive. In regards to the story's alright. It's not exactly the most memorable thing ever, but it's not like I've played it in a while, so maybe when I do a full retrospective I'll have some other thoughts on it. From what I can remember though, Kyle Crane is a great protagonist. I liked him a lot, and his moral dilemma was interesting to see play out. I like the threats involved. I like some of the side characters like Jade. And yeah, I feel like it was a great at building the world, and the plot works for the game, and I don't have really major complaints about it from what I remember. But it's not the most memorable experience that I've ever had either. The most important thing I want to bring up in regards to this video is that the love for this game is genuinely impressive. They're still updating this game even now, with additional content recently being added thanks to the anniversary as well as the future graphics update I mentioned earlier. If you haven't played Dying Light before, then I recommend you go out and play it as soon as you can. The game still holds up great visually and gameplay wise. You definitely like it if you like Mirror's Edge, you want a different kind of experience, and if you like Dead Island but want improved gameplay, a better story, and a better traversal system, basically a better game, then I recommend it to you as well. There's so much passion put into this game, which is shown through the attention to detail as well as the effort to make this an enjoyable time that's worth appreciating, either by yourself or with a friend. There's a lot to love about this game, and if you're someone looking for a fresh game that offers a unique experience with some creative ideas, Dying Light is the game for you. Thank you for watching, and I hope you enjoy my next video. Goodbye, guys.